Hello and welcome to Thoughts from the Midlife. I'm Alfonso, your host, and today is October the 14th, and I will be talking about the Dallas Cowboys game against the Philadelphia Eagles this coming Sunday in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is looking really strong. They're off to a fast start. They've put together a really good roster. Their general manager, Howie Roseman, has done some great things with his roster and using his draft picks. So along with the maturity and growth of their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, the addition of some key pieces on their defense, including Hassan Reddick, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and the kid Bradbury at cornerback, their team has gotten better. They also drafted Jordan Davis from Georgia and Nakobe Dean from Georgia. So they've gotten better. And a lot of folks could say, well, their schedule has been very beneficial to them. They haven't played really tough teams, but you can only play who you play. That's who's in front of you. And they've handled all of them. Had a little tougher time with Arizona this past week, but Arizona's got some skill. Kyler is a slippery guy, and he's tough to tackle. And so they had a close game. The Cowboys are in the same situation pretty much, where they've had a very surprising path to 4-1. A lot of people, me included, thought that the season was doomed after Dak Prescott got hurt and after such a poor showing against Tampa Bay. But the Joneses trusted Cooper Rush to come in and kind of guide the ship while Dak gets healthy. And he's done a great job of managing the team, of playing within himself, not trying to do too much. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way Kellen Moore has run the offense a little bit more safety in mind, less aggressive call playing, relying more on the strength of the team, which is shown to be their running game. With a 1-2 punch of Tony Pollard and Zeke. There are a lot of folks that think Zeke is past his prime, but if you watch the guy, when he gets going, and he's done pretty well. And he can take a 1-yard gain and make it 3-4 yards and bludgeon the defense, and that's when Pollard comes in and has popped some big ones. I still believe that Pollard should be getting more touches, either on screens or running routes out in the flat, or more handoffs. I think a lot more of the jet sweep type of play, things that get him to the outside. But the Cowboys seem to be intent on bang in the middle, and it's worked. So there's no reason to change that recipe for now. So the game is going to be a tough game for the Cowboys, I believe. I think though that even if they come away with a loss, 4-2 after that injury to Dak and the showing against Tampa, I think any team 6 weeks ago would have said, hey, if Dak gets injured, has to miss a bunch of games, and the Cowboys still come out 4-2 after playing the defending champion Rams, the Super Bowl AFC champion Bengals, playing 2 division games against the Giants, another surprising team at 4-1, and the Commanders, who haven't been so good, and you'd be 4-2, and the Eagles, hey, we'll take it. That's a 2-1 record inside your division, and puts you in a position to compete the rest of the way, especially if that gets back and is back to some good form. There's some questions. I have doubts about his mental state, because he really looked out of sorts against the Buccaneers, and he has not looked the same since he pulled his calf muscle in last year's game against the Patriots. I mean, he put up some numbers, but some of those numbers were against subpar competition, and again, you play who you play, and you put your numbers up against who's in front of you. But he just hasn't looked right. And this guy Rush looks real stable. One of my brothers said right when it happened, he said, "Well, he's going to have good chemistry with guys like Noah Brown, who he would probably throw to during second team reps, and has done so for a while." And sure enough, it's proved out to be that. But I still believe that Dak is a more talented guy. There's a lot of argument. I've had a couple of discussions with friends that say, hey, don't mess with the chemistry, leave the team as it is. that kind of thing. I don't believe that. I think they've been a winning team and have done well so far with Cooper Rush. But I think that with the addition of Dak and the way the playbook opens up, Dak has better arm talent than Cooper Rush does. He knows the offense super well, and it seems like the guys really rally around him. I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, but I think they could make some noise. They can definitely do better than they have in the past few years, past 25 years. And maybe make a run. I think that would be pretty respectable of this team. Now, what we haven't talked about is how good the defense is playing, which is pretty obvious. There's a lot of attention being paid to Micah Parsons, but there have been some other players that have really stepped up. I really like that kid Donovan Wilson, number 6. He's played some really good football. Osa Odigizua, 97, has done a really nice job. Tristan Hill's made some really nice plays. And picking up Dante Fowler, combined with a great season that Dorrance Armstrong is having, I think kind of softens the blow of having lost Randy Gregory. So those players are doing well. I think Leighton Van Der Esch has been having a much better season than anybody expected. I don't think Anthony Barr's done as good, but obviously Jabril Cox hasn't done enough to supplant him. So that defense has played well. The corners have played well. Last week Tavon Diggs got beat on that long catch and run by Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp pretty much beats everybody, but I think it's a mistake to trail against any NFL receiver, to trail across the field like that without having somebody to pass him off to, because a perfect pass and an even better catch by Kupp on that play resulted in that. Everybody had their backs turned. That guy's got some quick feet, and he took it to the house. Even the pass he got beat deep on by Atwell, it was a perfect pass. His hand was in position, but the guy made a great catch and a great throw. And hey, that stuff's going to happen. But nonetheless, I think he's had a good season. Anthony Brown, who I've been a big critic of, has had a really good year. Jordan Lewis has been a little nicked up, so that kid Deron Bland has stepped in. So I think it's going to be a very competitive game on Sunday night at the Link. I do think that the Eagles will win by a short margin, but it's not going to be an easy game for them. And I think it sets the pace for an important meeting down the road. I don't think the Eagles will go undefeated, but they do have a very favorable schedule, as do the Cowboys. So I think that we're in for a good season the rest of the way. We're at about the quarter mark, maybe a little bit past that. But the Cowboys have shown really well for themselves. Mike McCarthy deserves a lot of credit. I think the defense and special teams are playing great. And as long as Cooper Rush doesn't make a lot of mistakes until Dak gets back, they'll be in the games, and the defense may be the difference in winning or losing. So that's the Cowboys and Eagles preview of the game. There's another really big game, which I think is maybe even a bigger game, and a preview of a playoff game between the Bills and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are at home. They had a really good game. Travis Kelce went off for 4 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes keeps doing Patrick Mahomes things, which is, guy's pretty amazing. But the Bills are really playing lights out. That kid, Josh Allen, has blossomed into a terrific quarterback. I don't think any team in the league would not want to have him. But the Bills have him, and they've got some good receivers, solid offensive line. They're a little nicked up in their secondary, and if anybody can take advantage of that, it's Patrick Mahomes. But they have a very solid front seven, and they're going to make things difficult for the Chiefs. If the Chiefs cannot establish some semblance of a run game, they're going to have a long and tough day, because the Bills are going to come. They're going to come after Mahomes, and they're going to bring some serious pressure. The kid's great under pressure, and should be a good game. So it'll be a good weekend, a good Sunday of football. I'm looking forward to seeing the Cowboys and Eagles, and watching also the Chiefs and the Bills game. So hopefully you'll get to enjoy, and that your team does well. And I look forward to our next conversation. Have a great weekend.